if you, for those people that were not able to join us today, like yourselves. Rather than take up an awful lot of time today, I'm going to go ahead and move on into the agenda. And today we have the information, the presentations will be coming from our AEE headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. And Sharon Houston, my partner in crime, will be presenting today and coordinating the other presenters that will be talking. Sharon, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Bob, do you need me to take control, or are you?
Yes, you need to do that.
Good. Got it. Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
I can.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Sharon Houston. I am going to pass you over to Ruth Whitlock, who's going to talk to you about the annual chapter operations report.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have listened to your comments, and we've tried to refine the chapter operations report format a little bit to make it a little easier to follow. Michelle Whitlock is also on, and she will probably offer some suggestions as we go along. The main thing that I want to point out, two things, is when you're filling out your report, which will be coming to you the first week in December. It will be due February 15th, so that gives you a couple of months to fill it out. But there are two things you really need to remember. Do not touch the back arrow, because if you do, you will lose every bit of information you've entered to that point. Also, if you have entered some information but need to come back later to complete the form, scroll down all the way to the bottom, right-hand corner, to the Save button. Always click onto the Save button. Then when you come back to finish your report, your information will still be there. Okay. Now, the main thing we've done is we have divided the report into two sections. It's always been in two sections, but this time we are naming them and making it a little easier to follow. Section 1 is the chapter administrative report. We're going to come back to that in a few minutes. Section 2 is the chapter financial statement. Jennifer Vendella, our controller, is here. She cannot stay for the entire meeting, so we're going to let her go over that section of the operations report now, and then we will come back after that to the administrative section.
Okay. I'm sorry. For the chapter financial statement on the operations report, we are just asking to basically list the revenues and expenses, try to break them out into sections that would make sense for the chapters. And also we have the section for assets, where you should list all the assets and liabilities. I don't think these chapters have too much trouble listing all this, but can they speak?
They can't speak, but they can type questions.
Okay. If you have any questions, though, about this, let me know, because what the chapters have submitted to the auditors, generally the auditors have come back and not had any questions about what's being submitted from the chapters. So as far as I can tell, it's being submitted correctly.
But if you do have questions on that, Jennifer here at AE is the person that you should probably contact for that.
Yes. And are we going to discuss the... Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. In the beginning of the operations report, we also asked for the number of chapter meetings held during the course of the year, and number 2, the average attendance per meeting. Or am I looking at the most? I don't know if I'm looking at the most up to date.
4, 3, 4.
No, I don't.
Okay. We have made a little bit of a change in that section to make it a little easier for you to follow. Number 2 is the average total attendance per meeting. That is anyone who came to your meeting. We want to know the average attendance for your meeting. Number 3 is the number of chapter members. This is not about attendance right now. This is about your chapter members who are also members of AEE, the parent organization. The number 4 is the number of members of AE, the parent organization. You want to scroll down just so they can see this? Shown in number 3, who attended at least one meeting. Now that is the figure that Jennifer is going to use to that is the number that Jennifer is going to use to determine the appropriations check she will write to your chapter. So there is a difference in what we're asking in those 4 questions. One has to do with the number of people attending a meeting and how many of those are A members. And the other is how many in total are attending your meetings.
So for every, the appropriations is based off of number 4, the number of AE members that attend your meeting. And again, they don't necessarily have to be a member of your chapter. Like Bill Kent has gone to a meeting and a chapter has included Bill's name as an AE member for the appropriation.
Sometimes business takes someone to a different city and they like to attend that meeting. You will get credit. You will get the appropriations for that person if he attends or she attends your meeting. It doesn't have to be a member of your chapter.
Just a member of AE. So, and we do need for number 4, at the end of the report, you have to submit a list of those names because we do go back and verify that they were AE members during the course of that year. So 2018 now, we'll check. So if there are any questions about that, let me know.
There are a few reminders. Hope you don't hear that plane overhead. There are a few reminders at this point we would like to bring up. If you want someone to serve as an officer of your chapter, please verify their membership in AEE before placing their name in nomination, because that is a hard and fast rule that anyone who serves as an officer of a chapter must be a member of AEE. In order to be in compliance, a chapter must hold a minimum of 3 meetings each year. Many chapters hold 12 meetings. Some take summer off and have 9 or 10 meetings, but you must hold a minimum of 3. Now, what is a chapter meeting? What does that consist of? It is an event to which all members of the chapter are invited, and you may also invite other people, other groups of public, as long as everyone in the chapter is invited. That is considered a chapter meeting. These are not to be confused with meetings of your board, committees, or other subgroups. All of the members of the chapter must be invited, and that constitutes a chapter meeting. And if your chapter bylaws are not on file with us, please make sure that you attach those to this report. The next section is very straightforward. It asks for the officers of your chapter for 2018, and then it asks for the officers of your chapter for 2019. Now, if on December 31st and January 1st, it's the same, you can simply click that it is the same, then you don't have to fill out the 2019 information. We do want to know when your chapters take office, so please include that information also. The list that Jennifer mentioned needs to be divided into 2 sections. One would be AE members who are members of your chapter, and then we would like to have your chapter members who are not AE members. Please include that in a different section. Jennifer will be using the first part for the appropriations, and we would like to have that information on file as to who is active in your chapter. Please remember that Section 1 is to be completed and signed by the chapter president. Section 2 is the financial statement. We apologize for the planes having
activity overhead right now.
Section 2 is to be completed and signed by the chapter treasurer. And please attach the report, the list of members, and again, please, as you're working on this, and we're sorry that you can't work on it at the same time. The president and the treasurer cannot work on this at the same time. We tried to get that corrected. That was something we were unable to accomplish. Michelle really tried hard. She made so many changes that I think will make it easier, but that was one that we weren't able to do. So you will need to get in and out of this probably as you work on it, and as you do, please remember the lower right-hand corner of the form. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Over at the right-hand corner is the Save button. And make sure you do that so that the information will be there when you go back to it. And then when everything is complete, of course, you enter the Submit button and it will come to us. I believe that about covers it. Sharon?
Well, thank you, Ruth. Okay, so that covers your chapter operations report. So again, if you have questions, if they're
Sharon?
quickly... Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting you. You were probably about to say the answer to the question I had. But the first question I have is, while that's really good information and we certainly appreciate it, the questions normally will come up whenever one is actually in the process of filling this report out.
Okay.
When that time happens for our chapter officers, who would be the best person to call for a question on this report?
Okay, well, if it's, depending on which part of the report it is, if it's the financial report, then I would say that you need to contact Jennifer. So before you do that, make sure you hit save, because obviously, you know, you hope that you'll get her immediately, but just in case you don't, save so you don't lose anything that you've entered. The same goes for the other section of the report, the operations part. That would be Ruth Whitlock, who was just speaking to you guys. And again, save before you then try and communicate with them, okay? And then hopefully they'll answer your questions as quick as possible and you'll be able to continue.
Okay, thank you very much. And Jennifer and Ruth's contact information can be located, I assume, on the AWE website. Is that correct?
It can, but you're also going to see that in the presentation that I'm going to do in just a moment about who we have here, like the staff here, and who does what. So you'll also see that contact information on there.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
No problem. Okay, so moving on. Let me just get in here.
Sharon, you also got a block that's showing up about from the McPhee. I believe you can close that.
Okay. Let's go on.
Thank you.
Please bear with me, we're having technical issues with a slow laptop today. I don't really want to respond to what I'm doing right here. Let's try again. Okay. Slideshow. On beginning. Have this open. Bear with me, I'm going to close, make sure we've just got one copy open, and that should help. Okay. There we go, finally. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce to you who's who and what we do here at AEE, here in the office. And I have Danielle Johnson here with me also, because Danielle has been here a lot longer than me, and her knowledge is much broader than mine regarding who does what. So you can find most of this information on the website. I have added a little detail to them, but for the most part, it's fairly similar. But what you do get on here that you don't get on there is you can email them, and it just says email, and you can click to email them from the web page, but you don't have their extension numbers. I have added those onto this presentation with the exception of Bill Kent. So obviously we have Bill, who is our executive director, and he manages and develops the programs for the membership, certification, publications, and conferences. Bill is in and out of the office because he travels to various different energy events all over the globe. I did not add his extension number. If you would like to contact Bill, please contact me at extension 220, and then I will connect you with Bill if he's available. We also then have Ruth, who you've met today. Ruth is our Executive Administrator, and Ruth does a whole host of different things here at AE, and as you can see here, she oversees the awards programs for international, national, and regional levels. She administers our programs for the Managers Hall of Fame and all officer nominations and elections. She's responsible for US and international chapter development and relations, corporate member development, the site selection for our trade shows and convention center and hotel contracting. But in addition, Ruth serves as our liaison for CWIL, the Council for Women in Energy and Environmental Leadership. And you can see there, you have Ruth's email and the office number with Ruth's extension. So again, that one is a useful number for you guys if you need assistance on not the financial part, the operations part of the report. So then also in administration, we have various different people here. You met Jennifer. Jennifer is our controller. She takes care of all aspects of accounting. She's also our human resources person right here, and she's involved in the database management also. And then I'm going to let Danielle speak for herself because the website really doesn't do Danielle justice. She does so much more than it says on there. So Danielle, over to you for a moment.
Good morning. So by definition, my title would be Information Services Director, but previously I worked with Patricia in membership, so I still do a lot of membership duties with her. I definitely oversee the student memberships and the Young Energy Professionals programs. I'm also oversee the fellow program that we award every year at WEEC. I'm also the person, when the phone rings, you're most likely going to get me or my voice on the pre-recorded message if I'm not able to answer. If you have any issues with logging into your account or accessing anything, needing to update any information, I would be the main person that can help you with that. I'm also the person that will be the one that sends you your chapter mail list in March, August, and December. I'll also send another one as soon as I get back from the holidays in the beginning of the year with the people that were members for the previous year so that you can use that on your chapter operations report. You can reach out at any point during the year and I will gladly resend the list updated as of that time. Also, if you have any orders, such as you're needing anything for your chapter, brochures, award plaques, anything you need, I will be glad to get that put together and send that to you. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
Thank you, Danielle. And then next is me. I'm the executive assistant. I am the assistant to Bill Kent. I try to keep him organized. I'm not sure I do a very good job, but I'm learning day by day. I'm also responsible for much of our IT support here in the office. So if we have issues, I deal with that. I'm also involved in the database management, credential registration, and as you know, I'm assisting today with the chapter webinar, but I'm also involved in setting up and coordinating our monthly member webinars too. So please join us for those whenever you can. Okay, so for marketing and communications and events, we have Lauren Lake and Michelle Whitlock. Michelle is online with us also. Michelle, I'm not sure if I do you justice on here, but please feel free to chime in if you want to add anything, but I'll go ahead and just tell you a little bit about Lauren first. So Lauren coordinates our conferences and our trade shows really from beginning to end, all those fine details of making sure we have everything we need for every part of our conference, audio visual equipment, catering, all of those things. Lauren kind of pulls all of that together, but she's also involved in overseeing the design, printing, and distribution of promotional materials for the shows and for membership. And if you are interested in any kind of sponsorship opportunities for any of our trade shows, Lauren is the person to contact for that. And then moving on to Michelle. Michelle's kind of another one here I feel like does way more than the website really says. Her official title is the Digital Communications Director, Public Relations, and Webmaster. So Michelle is responsible for the website, all of our divisional newsletters, social media and PR, but she also assists with awards and chapter operation forms, membership and certification marketing, amongst a whole host of other things. Michelle, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, that just about covers it. If there are any questions on the chapter operations report that are technical and Ruth isn't available, or you need some assistance, you can always feel free to reach out to me as well.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, also involved in marketing and communications events, we have Connie, who's our conference registration director. I'm sure many of you have been in touch with Connie as we come close to conferences. Connie deals with pretty much every aspect of registering for the conference, including invoicing our sponsors, collecting payments. In addition to all of the conference things that she does, she also assists with the Legends in Energy event at WEC and with membership, and she's also the student chapter administrator. And then our newest member of staff is Cheyenne Kimbrough. She's our conference speakers director. If you were at WEC, I'm sure many of you saw Cheyenne there running around like crazy, making sure everything was running smoothly. But Cheyenne is responsible for developing the conference programs and coordinating all of the speakers for each of the shows. And then we have our international department. So our international program director is Mary Elise Cox. So she manages all aspects of our international training and certification. She works with our existing training partners internationally for new program offerings. She's our primary contact for potential or new AEE training partners and projects throughout the world. And supporting Mary Elise, we have Kate, who is the international project coordinator. She manages the daily operation of our training partners with relation to any current training and certification programs that they offer. And then we also have Denise, who's the administrative assistant for international certifications. And as you can see there, she processes all of that information. Now in our certification department, we have various different people, and you'll see we have different certification directors, and each one is assigned to a particular certification. So our largest certification is the CEM, and our certification director for that is Helen Johnson. So she will coordinate all aspects of that, including also, in addition to CEM, BEP and EMIT. We have a certification administrator, which is Crystal, and she handles all new applications, any exam registrations, but she's also responsible for reporting exam scores to the students and preparing the files for board approval. And then we have Francine and Michelle, both of whom are also certification directors, but you can see that each of them is responsible for different certification programs. I apologize, I think we have some activity around us because we seem to have a helicopter flying overhead again. It's moving out. So yeah, so that's our certification team right there. Just if you cannot remember who to contact for which types of certification, you may find this information out also on our website. Also, part of certification is for renewal. Our renewal director is Priscilla Revere, and she is also responsible for our scholarship program, so she's our scholarship director also. And then membership, our number one membership contact person is Patricia. She's all individual memberships and corporate memberships. So any questions regarding that, you would go through Patricia. And that pretty much is everybody here at AEE, in the AEE office. I'm just going to minimize this and see if you guys have posted any questions on here. I'm going to share this. I'm going to go back to you for a moment, Bob, while I look at questions.
Certainly, Sharon. Thank you very much for very detailed analysis and information on who to contact. This can be done. This information that you have sent can also be found on the AEE website, as Sharon has said. So a lot of good information there. We wanted our members to know who should they contact for various things, and so I've asked Sharon to put that together. She's done a really good job today. I've been scanning the questions, and Sharon, I don't see any unless I've missed one. But as I said, once we get into doing these, looking for an answer to a question or filling out the reports, things do come up. Ruth, I'd like to ask you a question or ask you to comment, if you would, on the chapter operations report. You and I have talked about this in the past, but can you emphasize how important that operations report is?
Yeah, Bob, you're right. It is extremely important. In fact, it's required by law. This is not something we've come up with. This is something that we are required to get from you. We file a group return each year. As part of our group return, we include all of the chapter operations reports. Now, this is U.S. only. This does not apply to chapters outside of the U.S. But every chapter in the United States must file a report that we will include with our group return. If you got my message yesterday, the last item mentioned some calls I've gotten lately from chapters who have received a letter from the IRS. They are, of course, if you've been around AE for a while, you know that this is not unusual, but if it's your first time, it's a little unjarring to get that letter. But there's nothing to worry about. It's simply that they don't see a return in your name. That is because you are a sub-organization under us, and your reports are filed with our group return. If you get one of these letters, simply call me or email me. We will get our group return, which shows your chapter and its report, which is included. We will send you a copy of that. You will respond to the IRS letter with a copy of this report. And I don't recall ever hearing a chapter that has heard anything more from the IRS once this is submitted. But this does tell you that it is extremely important to file this report. I really don't know how we could help if you get that letter and you haven't filed your report. You know, we have nothing to present to them because we don't have your report. So it's very, very important that you get that in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. I really appreciate you emphasizing that. Simple-minded me says get the report done and get it done on time. You don't want to face consequences if you don't do that. It wouldn't be a very pleasant day. Moving back to the agenda, in December, we're going to have Jerry Casey, who's one of our regional vice presidents, starting in January, going to present about negotiating a meeting venue. Now, you may think that's a little strange because you say, well, I've already got a meeting. I already know where things happen. Well, not everybody does. A lot of the chapters have meeting venues that change from time to time. I know I'm a member of the Huntsville, Alabama chapter, and we have to lock things down a year in advance to be able to get the site that we need. So Jerry's going to talk about that a little bit and some of his experiences in working in that direction. So as we move to close today, our time is just about up. I want to thank our friends up at AEE in Atlanta, Georgia, for great information today. As I said, these videos are recorded. You'll be sent, as well as those that were not online today, will be sent a link to those recordings. You'll be able to go back and receive get access to the same information that was presented today, the majority of it, that is, by going to the AEE website. So go there, look for the information you need, look for the person that you need to talk to. And if you have any questions, by all means ask them, because our purpose is here to help you. Thank you very much for your time. I want to give a shout out to Mark Masso. He's joined us today from across the proverbial pond. Mark, good to have you with us today. We'll be back again on the 20th of December. 5 days before Christmas. If you haven't got your shopping done by the time that we come back online again, you're in another heap of trouble. Good talking to you. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Bob.